It's Ken, and before this video starts, I want to explain that there's probably going to be Megalobox and John Wick spoilers, at least for the first John Wick movie, and for the entirety of Megalobox. There's ways to go about making a character overpowered yet understandable. In Megalobox, Joe starts out overpowered and becomes underpowered when facing stronger opponents. There's two forms of overpowered, physically and mentally. In Megalobox, Joe is consistently overpowered physically and yet he is holding himself back mentally. In John Wick, John is consistently overpowered mentally in how he takes on opponents, but in his age he tends to slow down. With both of these characters, they sometimes let their head get the best of them. The difference with John Wick and someone like Gearless Joe is that John does what he must, while Joe does what he can. An overpowered underdog is pretty hard to understand and yet very easy to appreciate. You root for Joe because he has nothing to lose. You root for John because he's just come back from a loss. An overpowered character works because the viewer wants to make sure they're rooting for the right side. If the character they thought was the best is the best, they wouldn't lose, right? John is the best and always has been, and Joe is the best but never has been. How are John and Joe both underdogs? In John Wick, each enemy grunt has relatively zero screen time compared to John. 80% of them don't even have names. It's really easy to root for someone you know and against someone you don't. In Megalobox, you see Joe's motivations throughout the series and you're rooting for him because everyone else thinks they're better. With Earth's population nearing 8 billion, it seems like it's just you against the world. In Megalobox and John Wick, it quite literally is them against the world. This makes the characters easier to relate to, more personable, and with their badassery, you want to relate to them anyways. In Megalobox, you watch as Joe improves and beats his opponents, but in John Wick, you watch as John improves at staying alive and out of the way. John is more often than not better than each opponent he faces, but more on par with the wave of enemies he faces at once, while Joe is more often than not better than his opponents, but just good enough to win. To contrast, John is alive at the end of his fights, but that's not to say he comes out unscathed. I should recommend that you watch both of these, not for spoilers' sake, but just because they're great. Megalobox and John Wick are on Tubi and Peacock respectively, both apps that are free with ads. Thank you for watching, make sure to subscribe for more. I'm trying to make a 3-minute video a day, or at least just a video a day. If you like this format, make sure to like it, so I know.